I actually said it after the Shrewsbury game, after we made it 3 wins from 3. Sorry for not doing a video on that game, by the way. I unfortunately didn't watch it, but I said it after that game. This is the typical game that we lose. You know, we're on a good run. We're outside the top 6. They're bottom of the league, one of the lowest scoring teams in the division. Winless in their last 5 games, 5 defeats on the spin. There's only one way it's going to go, and that's exactly what we got. It finished at the Valley last night. Charlton Athletic 0, Milton Keynes Dons 2. Shocking from start to finish, to be honest. I think it is the worst performance we've put in so far this season. Absolutely a joke of a performance from start to finish, to be honest with you. Am I overreacting? Probably. Do I let Charlton results influence my mood? Yes. Should I let it do that? No. But I don't know, man. It's just last night really pissed me off because it was just a far cry from what we've seen, really, over the past 3 games, you know, against Exeter, Portsmouth and Shrewsbury. 3 very good performances in both games, in all 3 games, sorry. Played really well, deserved the 3 points in all of them, and then we go into this game and put in the performance like that as we did. Is it down to fatigue, the fact that we've had to play week in and week out, or midweek and weekend? Maybe, you could maybe factor that in. And the reality is, if we are serious about promotion, we need to be beating sides like this. Sides that are in poor form, that are in the bottom half of the table. And at the moment, we can't do that. And that's the inconsistency that we have. So let's just get straight into it, shall we? I won't waste any more time. We'll just dive straight into the match reaction, beginning as ever with the starting 11. We made one change from the team that beat Shrewsbury in midweek, with Clare making his return to the starting 11 in place of Steven Sessegnon. Didn't have much against that, to be honest with you. Clare has played the left-back position before, and obviously I'm a fan of Clare. I do like him, and Sessegnon obviously was in need of resting. You know, he's played, as I say, week in, week out, midweek to weekend games, so it made sense to rest him. And obviously we've got you would think, a fairly competent player to replace him in Clare. The rest of the team was, as usual, Joe Wollacott in goal. Clare was in the defence of O'Connell, Inniss and Egbo. Midfield 3, Jesurun Rak-Sakyi, George Dobson, Scott Fraser, and Tyreece Anthony Tupac Shakur Campbell. I have to laugh at his name, man. It's probably the best name of a footballer in world football right now. And of course, it was his full debut against Shrewsbury. Sadly, as I say, I didn't watch the game, but I have heard very good things. People were saying he impressed in the time that he was on the pitch, so I was looking forward to seeing how he would get on tonight. The front 2 was Jayden Stockley and Charlie Kirk in his striker position, as obviously the injuries that we have in that position, and Chuks Aneke on the bench. We've had to play Kirk in that position. Yeah, no real complaints with the starting 11, to be honest with you. As for MK Dons, obviously, like I said, coming into this game, bottom of the league, lowest scoring team, or one of the lowest scoring teams in the division. Not in good form whatsoever. Liam Manning, I think it's fair to say he's hanging by a thread a little bit. I mean, the result last night will certainly give him a lifeline, but yeah, he's definitely under a bit of pressure right now to deliver based off their starts of the season, which has completely shocked me. You know, they were absolutely brilliant last season, but it just goes to show the big players that they've lost, and their recruitment has proved to be a failure so far. They've not really replaced the players they've lost adequately, and they find themselves in the position that they are in. I suspect they won't be there come the end of the season. And to be fair, last night, I will give credit to MK Dons because their performance showed that they do have quality in their side and that they can play, you know, and they can grind out results if they can. And that is exactly what they showed tonight. You know, they just outplayed us, really. They just stopped us from playing our game. You know, defensively, they played very well. They kind of played park the bus and counter-attack tactic, but to be fair, they played that really well, we have to say. At times, we were exposed on the counter-attack, or quite a lot of times where we just couldn't get back properly, and defensively, they just dealt with us. But that's probably the only good words I'm going to say about MK Dons, because I just want to focus on how shambolic our performance was last night. And I'm just going to whiz through it quickly, to be honest with you, because it was the exact same in both halves, really. First half, we started slow, which is something that we have done, you know, in previous games. We started slow against Exeter, we started slow against Pompey. You know, I felt that with that, you know, oh yeah, we'll grow into the game and we'll go from there. But we just never got into second gear, really. We just, I don't know what it was, man. The fact that it was 0-0 at half-time was a shock in itself. I find it funny that Charlton didn't actually comment on one of the chances that MK Dons had on their Twitter posts. Like, it literally skips to midway through the opening 45. The coverage was not great on our Twitter platforms, it's safe to say. But they missed an opportunity where MK Dons worked it on the left-hand side. They took a shot. It took a deflection. Wollacott manages to get across to pull off the save. It comes out to, I think it came out to one of their players, but Wollacott was able to scramble his way to grab hold of the ball. Then Mandela Egbo falls over Wollacott, keeps standing over him, and then you got O'Connell and Inniss who are stood by a loose ball. Egbo's still on top of Wollacott. Wollacott's on the deck, like, he can't do anything about it because Egbo stood in his way, and O'Connell and Inniss are like, go on, you kick it away. No, you kick it away. And they're just panicking, and eventually Owen just punts it away. You know, it's just things like that, you know, it just kind of, that kind of set the tone for the game because it just wasn't our evening whatsoever. But like I said, throughout the first half and the second half, the game in general, we just never got going. I don't know what it was. I really don't know, because it's the same system that we've seen over the past 3 games, the 4-4-2 that has worked really well. We've been playing good attacking football. The fullbacks are overlapping and getting balls into the box. You know, our midfield are dominating the play and making movements for each other. And last night, we just didn't see that. We did not see that whatsoever. You know, we'd get the ball in the defensive line. You know, we, again, dominated possession. We can say that all we want. You know, we had so much of the ball last night. I saw some people saying, oh, yeah, we've dominated the game, but we just haven't, you know, shown anything. We didn't dominate the game. We dominated the ball, but we didn't do anything with it. And I've said it so many times in previous videos. If you dominate the ball and don't do anything with it, you don't deserve anything from the game because you're not creating anything from it. And that's exactly what we done last night. We're just passing it round the back. No one's moving for each other. The midfield didn't want to move. The strikers didn't want to move either. You know, it was, I don't know what it was, man. And Sean Clare, mentioned him briefly in the introduction. I absolutely love the guy. You guys know that. He's one of my favourite players at the club right now. I think he is one of our better options. The guy is wasted on that left-hand side. And I found it really strange when we started playing him left-back because, I mean, you know, he's naturally a right-sided player. You know, he plays in midfield, right-back or centre-back. So you put him at left-back, you think, yeah, he could do a job similar to what Sessegnon can do. But Clare is not a left-back. He is absolutely wasted on that side because he's got one foot. He does not know how to use his left foot. You know, you stick him on the right-hand side and he will run forward. He will link up with Rak-Sakyi, Blackett-Taylor, whoever it is on the right side. He will overlap, run, charge at defenders, cut inside, get balls into the box. You put him on the left-hand side and he just turns around, plays backwards, sideways. At every single opportunity, all Clare wanted to do was pass the ball backwards because he can't run forward and cross the ball in the box with his left foot. He's wasted on that side of the pitch. But what I will say, the fact that Clare played the full 90 minutes, I felt was really bizarre because I think he was quite far and away the worst performing player, outfield player on the field today. That was definitely the worst performance I've seen from him in a Charlton shirt. I'd much rather have played Richard Chin in that position, to be honest, because at least he's natural to that position. People make comments saying, oh, it just shows how stupid we were that we loaned out Claydon to Bromley. The guy's not a fullback. I've said it so many times, I'm tired of saying it. Claydon is not a fullback. Would I rather Claydon than Clare in that position after last night? Probably. But the guy's not a fullback. You know, I'd rather we give Richard Chin a go and let Clare fight for his position with Mandela Egbo on the right-hand side, who we'll get into later, because I also want to critique Egbo, but I want to critique the whole team, to be honest, because it was just an absolutely shambolic performance. Okay, Dons, like I say, they just played their game. We can say they came, the standard thing, they came there with a plan, but they executed it well, and they just hit us on the counter-attack and dealt with us defensively. There was one opportunity they had where they really should have scored. You know, they attack on the left-hand side, Sean Clare sprinting after one of their players. I can't remember who it was. It was either Louis Barry or Nathan Holland. I have no idea who it was, but they're just running forward on the right-hand side. Clare tries to cut across him, but he ends up running in between the ball and the player, the gap in between the ball and the player. Absolutely, it's shocking. It's terrible defending. And the player just gets through on the right side, pulls it back across the box. Will Grigg completely free at the back post and smashes the crossbar. He's got to be doing better in that situation. It's inexcusable defending. Clare, absolutely shocking to deal with that. And then the fact the ball is played across the box and no one is there picking him up. I'm going to mention it a few times in this video. Mandela Egbo, where is he? Where is he? Like, he is an attack-minded fullback, but his positioning when defending is appalling. He should be there in that box, tracking back with the defence. How many times yesterday did MK Dons hit us on the counter-attack or attacks in general, and we had 3 in defence because Egbo has joined the attack, lost the ball, or we've lost the ball, not just Egbo. He did lose the ball a couple of times and made a couple of mistakes. But the fact that they were just counter-attack and Egbo's not tracking back, so we're just left with Inniss having to cover over on the right-hand side, who again we'll get into later. But I felt Egbo's positioning defensively yesterday was poor, and overall he had a poor game. But I'm not singling out individuals because I think everybody had a poor game, or in general the team itself was just absolutely shocking. And what I will say, yeah, I'm just reading the Twitter post now. After Grigg smashed the crossbar, Wollacott was forced into an outstanding save from Bradley Johnson. Tried a curling effort and Wollacott diving save. Wollacott had it all to do last night. And to be fair, he did really well. To be honest, if it wasn't for him, I think we would have conceded a lot more goals. And we had one opportunity, Mandela Egbo let fly from range, which flew over the crossbar. The ball was played, the goalkeeper or a defender, I don't know who it was, but the ball was played out to one of theirs. Scott Fraser intercepted. It was an absolutely shocking ball and a terrible mistake from MK Dons. There was an argument. Obviously, the referee did impede Bradley Johnson, stood right in the way of him. But to be fair, I think Scott Fraser would have got to that ball anyway and probably would have played in the same ball as Campbell, even if Johnson was able to get past the referee and challenge him. But nevertheless, Fraser puts in Campbell completely one-on-one. He should really have, he should have done a lot better, to be honest with you, if I'm being critical. He's in that much space. He took way too long to take the shot, and he took the shot at the far post and hit the side net. And I was thinking maybe he could have, cut inside from the defender, because the defender was sprinting at him. He could have cut inside on his right foot and bent it into the far corner, and maybe he would have found the back of the net. But it's things like that, we've got to be doing better from that situations. But yeah, that was half-time, 0-0. To be honest with you, I think we've got to consider ourselves lucky that we wasn't behind. And then we go on to the second half, which was even worse. Campbell was brought off, which was understandable. You could see that he was struggling. I felt he was okay. I don't think he played terribly. I don't think he was like, wow, oh my God, this guy was sensational. Shows that he has got pace and he can shape away from his man. He's got decent technical ability, but we have to remember that he is still a young lad and still very inexperienced with the first team. He, of course, came off, replaced by Jack Payne on his 28th birthday. Payne went to the right-hand side. Kirk went back to the left. Rak-Sakyi then was pushed through the middle along with Stockley. So I found that quite interesting. Kirk in the first half was completely ineffective, as was Stockley. Rak-Sakyi was probably one of our more lively players in the first half, along with Campbell. They were cutting inside and trying to show trickery, but ultimately there was just loads of nearly moments with all of our players. Nearly moments. We're trying to get forward, trying to play balls in the box, but ultimately we just couldn't. It was that final ball. It looked like that we'd come out the gates guns blazing. Charlie Kirk had two really good chances from crosses on the left-hand side. He was already getting more involved on the left-hand side as he was as a striker. He's more involved in his natural position, but he had two really good chances. He put one ball into the box, which I think missed a couple of our players, and then the second one, he puts it across goal. Apparently the Twitter have said it's a cross shot, but I don't think it was a shot. But he crosses it across the box and it goes past everyone, and Stockley is right there at the back post completely unmarked, and it just trickles past him and out for a goal kick. It's just tantalisingly close. And then Rak-Sakyi forced a save out of Jamie Cumming, which was actually our only shot on target in the entire game. Rak-Sakyi shapes away from one of the defenders on the edge of the box, shapes from the centre to the middle, to the right a little bit, has a shot. It is straight down the middle, but it falls Cumming into some sort of a save. He jumped up to kind of get a hand to it and punch it away, if you will, or slap it away. But that was our only shot on target. It completely derailed when Ryan Inniss got his first booking. To be fair to him, it was a challenge that he needed to make, because they were put through. Again, Mandela Egbo, nowhere to be seen. Is again, mentioning his defensive positioning, it's absolutely horrendous. It was shocking yesterday. Inniss has to cut across to make the challenge. He had to make the challenge, denying a goal-scoring opportunity. It had to be done. Take the yellow card. But we know exactly what Inniss is like on a yellow card. And we know that something's going to happen. And you'll never guess what did. Inniss, red card. It's just we need to talk about this because the whole thing is controversial. Yes, it is a second yellow card and it is sending off. It's denying a goal-scoring opportunity. But that is possibly one of the worst refereeing decisions I've ever seen for a penalty ever. The contact happens a yard or two outside the box, and then he falls over in the box, and the ref gives a penalty. It is absolutely... It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful officiating. It's exactly what it is. It is never, ever a penalty, but it is a second yellow card, and it is a sending off. And again... I personally felt Inniss had a fairly decent game before he got the yellow card. It's the second he got the yellow card, I was like, here we go again, Inniss on a yellow card. We know how dodgy he is. And after that, he started making a few mistakes. He gave the ball away a couple of times when he was on the yellow card, done a few shaky moments, and then he goes and does that. Again, it just shows, it's just so... He is one of the most frustrating players I've seen in recent history at this club. That's his fourth red card in 41 Charlton appearances. It's unacceptable. It's exactly what it is. It is completely and utterly unacceptable. And he's a liability. I can't put it any simpler. He is a liability. And ultimately, in that situation, he's completely let his team down. It's not a penalty, but he's still let his team down by putting us down to 10 men. And of course, Will Grigg steps up, converts the penalty. Wollacott guesses the right way, gets something onto it, but it flies into the back of the net and Grigg scores to make it 1-0. Like I say, never a penalty. Never, ever, ever a penalty. And it can't be argued with. But... it's just Inniss, again, proving that he's a liability and that he's letting his team down in that situation. And we knew straight away, from the way we were playing for the rest of the game, the fact that we couldn't put a ball in the box. There was such a hesitance for us to put a ball in the box. No one moving for each other. We looked lazy. The second we go down to 10 men, we know exactly that that's game over. Garner did make changes, in my opinion, way too late. Stockley was brought off and Aneke replaced him. Stockley, I'm sorry, but his time's up in this starting 11. He has to be dropped immediately. The guy has offered fuck all for us this season, and I've lost patience with him now. You know, we've seen a little bit more out of him, the fact that he is now with a strike partner. But we're still not seeing enough. You know, was he even on the pitch yesterday? Genuinely, was he even on the pitch? And I'm sorry, I've lost patience with him. I would much rather Daniel Kanu get a shot over him in this team. It's got to that point now. Like, we're what, 16, 17 games into the season now? And the guy has 2 goals, 1 from open play. It's unacceptable. He should not be starting games. It's as simple as that. Either give Aneke a go, and yes, obviously we'll say, oh, he can't play a full 90 minutes. I'd rather him start than Stockley. I would rather Daniel Kanu start over Stockley. I've got to that point now. It's just like, I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what's happened to him. He's a far cry of the player that we saw last season that scored 20 goals in all competitions. Where is that Stockley that we know? I don't know what's going on, man, but I've lost patience with him now. He should be dropped. He's done nothing this season to justify him starting games anymore. He needs to be on the bench, and we need to do something else and work with other players, because he's just not offering anything to this team right now. And then we took off Charlie Kirk as well and brought on Steven Sessegnon. I've mentioned it earlier. The fact that Sean Clare played the full 90 minutes was ridiculous to me. But it was already game, set and match, really. And MK Dons, of course, had a second through a free kick from Bradley Johnson. It was a free kick. You know, Fraser does take him out on the edge of the box. You can't really argue with that. Johnson with the left foot. Again, Wollacott gets a hand to it. But unfortunately, it does go into the back of the net. Johnson scores, and that is really game, set and match, really. We made a few more changes. You know, Fraser was replaced by Albie Morgan. Dobson was replaced by Conor McGrandles. But that was that, really, people. I've got nothing else to really say, because it was just a naff game from our perspective. Full time, Charlton 0, MK Dons 2. It's a typical game that we lose. They're bottom of the league, one of the lowest scoring team in the league. They're shocking. They're terrible in terms of form. And they go and outplay us like that. I'll give MK Dons credit, like I say, they defended really well. They kept us at bay, and they played the part of the bus in counter-attack, and it worked brilliantly. We have to say they played really well. So fair play to MK Dons. They deserved the 3 points. Well done. I don't understand how you can go from putting in 3 really good performances against 3 decent sides in Exeter, Portsmouth and Shrewsbury. You then play a shit side against MK Dons, and they go and outplay us. It just doesn't add up to me. You know, the fact that we played the same system, the 4-4-2, and we didn't want to cross the ball in the box, it was so frustrating. If we want to be in and amongst it with the promotion battle this season, we have to beat those sides. And you know what? It'd be bloody typical if we go and beat Ipswich on Saturday. Because we can beat the top teams. We can beat the top teams. We just can't beat the teams at the bottom. Joe Wollacott, I will give plaudits through for the game, really, because he was called into an action a fair few times, made a fair few good saves. I don't blame him for the penalty or the free kick, really. He got a hand to both of them. He was just unlucky for the fact that they both flew into the back of the net. Mandela Egbo mentioned it. Defensive positioning is shocking, and he needs to improve that. He cannot leave his fellow defenders exposed like that, because how many times did they counter-attack and he's just not there? You know, we're already a man short because he likes to get forward and attack. Inniss, up until he got the first yellow card, I felt actually had a decent game, but again, just showed his liability from then on. O'Connell was okay. Clare, worst Charlton performance so far, but that's not really his fault because he's been played out of position. Rak-Sakyi was lively. I think, to be honest with you, he was our best outfield player, the player that actually wanted to do anything and cut inside and do well. Dobson had a fairly good game again, you know, getting stuck in with interceptions. Fraser wasn't amazing for me. Campbell was okay. Kirk was ineffective. Stockley was non-existent. May as well have not been on the pitch. You know, Aneke, when he came on, he was running about the place and, you know, he was working. But other than that, I mean, I don't know, man. I think all of the substitutions really didn't have as much of an impact on the game. Payne had 1 shot when he came on, but that was that, really. Yeah, we just dust ourselves off. We dust ourselves off and we go again, really. We just got to put that behind us and try and go into Saturday and try and get a result. But that performance, you know, if we play like that against Ipswich, they're going to tear us apart. So that is it for this match reaction, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, can you possibly leave a like, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and turn on those post notifications so you are notified of every time I upload a new video. What do you guys think of the game? Let me know in the comments below. This has been Tyler Ronitson. Have a nice day, and I will see you all in the next video for the match reaction against Ipswich on Saturday. Take it easy, stay safe, and I will see you all then.